What's happening, people? It's the main event with your boy Ade Oladipo, proudly sponsored by William Hill, and it's fight week. Not just your normal fight week either. It's the big fight week, AJ fight week, right? Super Bowl is about to commence. By the way, the lineup of guests I got for you this week, kind of crazy. We got Eddie Hearn joining us. Alex Aljo's joining us as well because the Premier League is back on the weekend. But forget all those guests, because the best guest of all guests is in the building all the way from Ireland. He joins me now. He has come all the way from Ireland for this one. G-Man is in the building. In the building. How are we, sir?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very good.
Nah, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's really good to get your insight into what is a big fight week, right? I wasn't joking. AJ fight week is a big fight week. This one does feel slightly smaller than the big ones, right? It doesn't feel the same as it did for Usyk. Doesn't feel the same as it did maybe for Ruiz too. And I guess the reason being is because there's no belts on the line, which is strange. There's no belts in the fight, which is weird.
It's a strange one. There's no belts on the line. It doesn't feel like those fights, the Ruiz's, the Usyks.
Yeah.
But arguably it's a more important fight.
Yeah.
Because AJ going into this fight, a win is all he can get. Like that's it. If he doesn't win this fight, I mean, there's got to be a lot of questions. And it's a case of how he looks in winning as well.
This is it, right? It's not just the win. Like the W is the most important thing. I'll put my hands up and say, look, the W is the most important. But for AJ, it's not just a case of this goes to points. This is why I feel like there's a lot of pressure going into this fight. I think Eddie Hearn mentioned it. We're going to be joined by Eddie a bit later. It's not just a W. He's got to knock out Franklin for me.
Oh, yeah.
It needs a statement win. This is why they've picked Franklin, right? They've chosen Franklin for AJ to look good against.
They've chosen to look good against. I think he will. And the thing is, if he wins this fight on points, wins ugly, I mean, you may as well have taken it out in some ways, because people will be saying, okay, we had a bit of hope in him, but it's gone now. He needs to go in there, demolition job. And I think he will. I think training with Derek James, the work he's been doing over there in Texas, I think this is made for AJ to go in there and look good against.
I like how they've kind of hid away as well. Like normally we get quite a lot when it comes to an AJ fight where you see clips all over the place and sit down interviews. I did a couple with him, but it's kind of been guarded this time. Like whatever he's been doing with Derek James, we don't know. We haven't seen. I know Errol Spence has been in the camp. I know Jamel Charlo's been there as well, Frank Martin. So hopefully he's been surrounded by some dogs.
He's definitely been surrounded by some dogs. I'm liking what I'm seeing with the little clippers we're seeing. Though.
Love him.
The chopping the trees.
Oh, I love
the
that.
sprints.
Yeah.
I mean, when he says going back to basics.
Give me Rocky Balboa all the time.
You are proper going back to basics with that, man.
Yeah.
And that shows to me he's going for power.
Yeah.
Because that's what you associate the chopping trees with. So he's going in there looking for a demolition
Looks a
job.
bit bigger, doesn't he, as well?
He does.
Yeah.
He does. But if he's getting that muscle from functional training, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's
that's
true.
a much
Because
better thing.
I'm guessing, look, if you're Derek James, you're looking at an AJ, you're looking at his frame, you're looking at this guy is 6'5", 6'6", is an athlete of all athletes. You're thinking, look, okay, we know you can box. Let's just go back to basics a bit where you used to demolish people. Let's go back to that. That's your best path and best way of beating your Joe Joyces, your Wilders, your Furies. Not to outbox them, it's to try and demolish them. So hopefully this is the start of something good. I'm going to put you on the spot. G-Man. We're going to clip this bit up. Give me a round then. If you think AJ gets the job done, what round?
5th round.
Oh, I like it. Confident.
I can see Franklin, the hand speed, the foot speed. He looks like he's a bit lighter in this fight as well. I can see him being maybe awkward for the first round or two. Joshua may need to have a look, just have a think, just get a lay of the land. But once he knows what he has in front of him, I expect him to go through the gears and take Franklin out of there. 5 rounds. Yeah, 5-round job.
For me as well, I just realised it's probably going to be my biggest in-ring interview after. I just remembered, I was like, wait a minute, I'm the guy that speaks to him after in the ring. And I'm definitely going to ask him the Tyson Fury question. I'm going to say, now that Tyson Fury is not fighting Oleksandr Usyk, we'll talk about that in a minute. Is there a room, is there something whereby we can start this Fury-AJ conversation again for the summer? If AJ does look really good, or are they going to go through the Dillian White, Hrgovic, Otto Volin route? Is there something in your mind where if AJ looks spectacular, you can go Fury straight away, or do you think he needs to have one more?
I think no matter how good AJ looks, he'll need at least another fight.
Yeah, new trainer.
I think a new trainer. One thing I don't like about fighters is when they come back off a loss or back-to-back losses, one fight, big fight. It's like, no. Rebuild them.
Yeah.
Time waits for no man.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'm with you. Quick word on the fallout of this Usyk Fury Usyk, whatever way you want to put it, nonsense. Aside from the blame game, and I know who I blame personally, just how disappointing is it for fans? Like, we're hardcore boxing fans. There are a number of casual boxing fans that maybe don't understand the politics of boxing. How disappointing is it for them that we don't get to see the undisputed heavyweight title fight next?
Oh, it's a travesty. There's no other word you can use to describe it. It's been over 20 years since we've had an undisputed champion. We've got two guys in the division saying they're both number one.
Yeah.
So how do you resolve that? You fight. It's as simple as.
Yeah.
And look, this fight was a fight I've been looking forward to since Usyk beat Joshua. And it was like, okay, no mandatories, no stumbling blocks. Let's get it over the line. And for it now to look like it's not going to happen at all, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah,
it's no other word.
No, you're right. I mean, look, there are some big fights being made. I think we saw a good one on the weekend, Plant Benavidez. We're going to see another good one in a couple of weeks, Garcia versus Tank. But this is the big one. This is the biggest one that can be made. The heavyweight title is the title in boxing.
There's all other divisions, and then there's the heavyweights.
Good shout.
That's how it is.
Yeah, you're right, because if you're the heavyweight king, it means basically you can beat every single other man on. So you're the best boxer on the planet by default. Do you know what I mean? Because you're the biggest guy, you're the big dog. So it is a shame that we don't get to see it. Quick one, who do either fight next? Who would you like to see? Because they're not going to fight each other next. That ain't going to happen. Who do you want to see Fury fight next? Who do you want to see Usyk fight next?
I mean, I'd like to see the Joshua Fury fight, but obviously I'd like Joshua to settle in with Derek James a bit more.
Yeah.
So next up, no, not for Joshua. Joyce is being talked about.
Yeah.
Look, obviously I want to see Usyk Fury, but Joyce against Fury, that's still an interesting fight.
Very good fight.
Joe Joyce is live.
Yeah,
very live, but he's got a tough fight ahead of him.
Yeah, he's going to take some damage against Zhilei Zhang.
He's going to take some damage. That's not an easy fight by no means. For Usyk,
I do not want to see Dubois.
I was going to say.
I mean, what's going on with that?
What, that's just
no disrespect to Daniel Dubois.
No.
I do not want to see Dubois Usyk next. No.
No.
And I get it. If you're Dubois, look, I mean, I get it, right? The risk reward. The risk is high, but the reward is so big.
Yeah.
But you're not ready for that yet. There's no shame in not being ready. There's no shame in your trainer and you and your team saying, we're not quite ready for that smoke yet. So if I'm Usyk, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Wilder and Ngannou. Scrap that. Wilder Usyk right now.
Wilder Usyk. That's what took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Wilder Usyk. Let's see it.
Yeah, let that run.
I want to see that. Because Wilder, no matter how good a fighter is, you always look at that right hand and just think, oh, one mistake.
I'm telling you now, you could be round 12 with 10 seconds to go. You slip up and you could be sleeping for a minute.
Doesn't matter who you are.
I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are with him. And look, he desperately wants that crack. I mean, there's other guys out there for Usyk. Ruiz, I think, would be interesting.
Oh, yeah, Ruiz would be a great fight.
Yeah, Ruiz got good hand speed and technically very good as well. But yeah, it's a shame that we're not getting undisputed. But that's boxing, folks. Unfortunately, what we did get, though, on the weekend was a really good fight in the 168-pound division. It isn't always about belts, and this one showed on the weekend. Benavidez, in the end, just being a bit too strong, too fresh, too big for Caleb Plant. Good fight, though.
Great fight.
Yeah.
Went the way I thought.
Yeah,
Plant
exactly.
would start fast, outbox him. Benavidez, he did everything I thought he'd do except stop Plant. I thought he'd stop him.
Yeah.
I really did. But Benavidez...
Well, Kenny Bayless is probably the reason he didn't stop him.
Yeah, I mean
Kenny, come on.
Just... I've seen bad performances, but that's right up there.
Yeah, for Kenny, who's refereed more world title fights than I've had hot dinners, that's disappointing for a man of that caliber to do that. Mr. Eddie Hearn joins us now. Eddie, appreciate taking some time out, especially during fight week. How are the nerves, Eddie? You've spoken about the nerves all week.
Yeah, I think AJ's nerves are fine. Mine, I kind of always talk myself in different scenarios. My job is also to hype up the fight. So I'm talking up Jermaine Franklin's chances. And as I'm talking up Jermaine Franklin's chances, I'm starting to convince myself he's got a chance. And I start panicking a little bit. And then, I don't know. I just feel like AJ seems good. The media event, the red carpet, in a good place, press conference to come. I just feel like he's had a great camp, But Franklin confident too. Lost weight, probably lost, talks about 22 to 24 pounds. Got the makings of a six-pack there in a photo shoot yesterday, which was... a very long shot for the last promo shoot against Dillian White. So everybody raises their game when they get the fight with AJ, and he's confident. He sees things in previous fights that he believes he can take advantage of. He's a good fighter. And I think AJ's got to make an impression on him early in this fight. You don't want to start giving Jermaine Franklin confidence as the rounds go by, because he's going to start fancying the job.
Yeah, we haven't seen AJ much during this sort of build up to this fight. Obviously, he's been locked away in America. You went out there and saw him, a couple of weeks ago. What was he like? Physique wise, spirit wise, what is he like?
He looks big to me. I mean, he looks powerful. I think the days of the heavy lifting and the strength and all that kind of stuff, I think he still enjoys that side, but I think it's more boxing fit now. Derek James is renowned for getting his guys super fit, and AJ is. I think they've got him throwing more punches than ever. Everybody always kind of debates about the weight. What's he going to come in at? I think he'll be heavier than he was for the Usyk fight. And Franklin obviously going to be lighter than he was for the Dillian White fight. So AJ, I think, built for, always built for speed, but built for big power and heavyweight explosive action on Saturday. And maybe Jermaine Franklin going for speed. Looking at the Andy Ruiz fight, looking at obviously being a smaller guy, working on the inside and probably exchanging with him. And that's always dangerous. I mean, it lends itself to a great fight. But if Jermaine Franklin is ready to trade up with Anthony Joshua, which is a very dangerous game.
Yeah.
That might be a tactic that they look at, bearing in mind the success that Andy Ruiz had in that fight.
Yeah, some tongue-in-cheek comments, I think, from AJ the other day saying if he loses, he retires. But it is a long way back, isn't it? Look, AJ can always be built, but it's a long way back.
I get that question a lot. And, I liked what AJ said last night because I think he needs to put pressure on himself. You can avoid the question and you can say, got a long career ahead of me and stuff like that. But let's be honest. AJ's here to try and become a 3-time world heavyweight champion. He wants to fight Fury. He wants to fight Wilder. He wants all those big nights. And if he loses to Jermaine Franklin, they become a long way away. So he must win on Saturday. There's no point, dancing around the subject. He must win. And if he can do it in style, then all of a sudden it makes the fights with Fury and Wilder just mega, mega, mega events. And I'm nervous but excited. I just hope that he can put the performance together that the hard work and the sacrifice of being out there in Dallas with Derek James hopefully deserves.
I'm almost going to ask you now to pick your favourite kid, which is never fair, but you've had AJ from the very beginning, haven't you, since he turned pro? What's this journey been like with AJ, as opposed to maybe fighters that have turned pro and then you've got from other promoters? What's it like having AJ from very start to the big fights in Wembley, Madison Square Garden, Saudi Arabia, the Middle East? What's this journey been like?
I mean, it's changed the face of boxing. It's changed my life. It's changed our company. It's changed his life. It's, everybody who works in boxing, I'm not expecting them to individually go up and thank Anthony Joshua. But if you don't acknowledge that without AJ, we wouldn't be where we are, you're a plum. And he just, completely changed the face of the sport and did it in a nice way. I mean, we've been 10 years now this year since we signed him, and unbelievable loyalty really to us as well. I mean, we've done a great job for him, but every time that contract was up for renewal, there was huge offers coming in from everywhere, all around the world. And he backed us, we backed him, and I'll always have his back. And that's why I feel so fondly about him, because of the type of man that he is. And that's why I want him to win so badly. Yeah. And that's why I always get nervous and excited. And the roller coaster, it was near 10 years this year since he debuted at the O2 Arena. Just a sort of naive young fighter, really.
You looked a bit different as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a few less chins and a bit more hair. But it's been a stressful 10 years as well. Boxing is that business and stressful in a sense with AJ, because everybody wants to fight him. The mandatories were piling up, and he always. That's why when he gets asked the question now about Undisputed, he's kind of like, do you know what? Like, he almost wishes he didn't focus on Undisputed as much as he did, because there's a lot of stress, and you're fighting mandatory after mandatory. Those splits are already kind of locked in. Some of them are unfair. He ended up fighting Usyk as a mandatory. People were telling him not to fight Usyk. He wanted to be undisputed, so he felt like it's my job as a champion to fight my mandatories, And I think he realizes now, like, I'm not chasing undisputed anymore. I'm chasing world championship. I want to be a world champion again. And, you know, that's the goal. And that's why this fight is so important, because it hopefully is the start of momentum for a big 2023. And, you know, I really want him to produce a stunning finish and a stunning performance on Saturday, because he's an elite heavyweight. You know, I said to him the other day, I said, you had a great fight with Oleksandr Usyk in that last fight. You know, after 9 rounds, I put my house on you winning from there. He was unbelievable. You lost 115, 113. Like, so what? Like, you're an elite heavyweight. Believe in yourself and go and deliver on Saturday night.
Final word, quick word on fighters on the undercard. Fabio Wardley in an important one. His name's being called out now by everyone. David Adeleye wants a bit of him. Fraser Clark wants a bit of him. Emma Williams, Felix Cash on the same card as well. You're going to need security to keep them two apart backstage. Good undercard.
Yeah, good card. And particularly, you know, it's always good to have another big heavyweight fight on the card. And actually a tough fight for Fabio and Michael Coffey. You know, I know we saw him in a really good fight on ESPN, and he's a good seasoned heavyweight that's, you know, tough and he likes to stand there and trade, and it'll be an exciting fight. Fabio's still a little bit green. These are the kind of fights that he needs. And there's a real, you know, there's slim pickings for the British title, really, in terms of defences. You know, we spoke to Dave Allen, we spoke to Cash Ali, we spoke to those guys, but we're going to need to look at David Adeleye, Solomon Dakers, Fraser Clark. You know, it's great to see everybody calling out Fabio's name. You know, other broadcasters, other fighters, and, you know, he's in a great spot right now. British champion, chief support on the Anthony Joshua card at the O2. He's sitting pretty, and let all those others chase him, you know, and call his name.
Indeed. Ade, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Enjoy it as much as you can. Enjoy fight week. All right, enough boxing for now. Let's talk football. The Premier League is back. A good international break, though, for England. 2 wins out of 2 in the Euro qualifiers. Who better to speak to about football than Alex Aljo, who joins us now. Alex, before we talk Premier League, let's talk about England. Big wins. Wins in Italy. Win at home against Ukraine. Gareth Southgate must be a happy man.
Yeah, he must be a very happy man. Their first win in Italy in 62 years, then that win, as you say, against Ukraine at Wembley. And we can't talk about the international break without talking about Harry Kane.
Wow.
Now, England's all-time leading goal scorer, just after he's become Tottenham's all-time leading goal scorer as well. Incredible scenes coming onto the pitch with his wife, with his children. And obviously people say, yes, but he hasn't won any trophies with his club. But now look at the individual trophies Harry Kane has won. Absolutely unbelievable. Incredible achievement. Now surpassing Wayne Rooney. Yeah,
that's the debate now, though, isn't it? Harry Kane versus Wayne Rooney. Look, I'm of an age where I always say Wazza. I even call him Wazza. I don't call him Wayne Rooney. Yeah, he's Wazza to me. And look, I still think he's England's best goal scorer of this kind of era, if you like. But I guess Harry Kane's proven me wrong. There is that debate, though, isn't there? Harry Kane or Wayne Rooney. Don't sit on the fence here. What fence? What side do you sit on?
What I'm going to say is I think that Harry Kane is 29 years old and he's already said he's going to play until he's 40 years old. And I think he's not as quick anymore, as we saw with Wayne Rooney. But in a way, he's adapted better. He's changed the way he plays. And I think Harry Kane could go on to be a better player than Wayne Rooney. But I think right now it is hard to say, Harry Kane's better than Wayne Rooney. But I think maybe he's going to manage the latter stages of his career better than Wayne Rooney did. Yeah,
he's almost morphing into a Teddy Sheringham, where the legs have gone a little bit, but he now drops a bit deeper. He's a lot smarter as well. So, look, when it's all said and done, I agree with you. I think we're going to look back and Harry Kane will be better than Wayne Rooney. But for now, I'm still on the side of Wazza. I'm sticking with that. Yeah, indeed.
Team Wazza.
Yeah, that's Team Wazza 100%. Oh, look, obviously, Harry Kane's going to get all the plaudits, and rightly so, right? I mean, once you become England's record goal scorer, every paper should be about you. But some other players had some fantastic games as well. I mean, Ivan Toney getting his first cap. Saka and that goal against Ukraine. I mean, he's almost become England's new talisman, Saka.
Unbelievable. 17 goals for club and country this season. He'd scored 2 just before the break in that win at the Emirates against Crystal Palace, and then straight back to it, scoring goals for England in the international break. And he just does it with a smile on his face. He just makes it look easy, doesn't he? It was an absolute worldie, that goal he scored at Wembley. And he sort of just shrugs it off like, it's normal to score goals like that. It's not normal to score goals like that. But
we didn't even see no knee slide or anything. I was like, not even a knee slide?
No knee slide. And then James Maddison as well. We've got to talk about him. because that was his first England start, almost 3.5 years after he last played for England. And it was really interesting what he said, actually, because obviously hugely disappointed not to play in the World Cup with that injury, but he was out there with the team. He said, I was just a good egg around camp.
Yeah.
So he was getting on with all the players, getting on with the manager. And even before Phil Foden had his appendicitis, Southgate said he was going to play anyway.
Okay.
So he was going to start him anyway. And he was absolutely brilliant. He looks like he's been in that team for years. And now people are saying he's undroppable for England. So yeah, really, really happy for James Maddison. Obviously now back to the club to try and keep Leicester in the Premier League. And then another player to mention, Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
So, what an international break it was for him. His England debut, and only the third Brentford player to play for England.
Yeah, and fully deserved as well. I mean, he's had an incredible season. And some might say unlucky not to go to the World Cup off the back of the season, sort of the form at the start of the season. So I think it's been incredible for him. And plaudits to Gareth Southgate as well. I think going to Italy and winning is no easy feat. And again, making it look comfortable against Ukraine. I mean, I feel like we take these 6 points as a formality, and they never are when it comes to Euro qualifiers.
No, not at all. Almost certain now to qualify for the Euros, which is brilliant. Obviously, they have games coming up in June. But I think something has changed in that England setup, because these players all clearly really want to play for England. There was a time when maybe players would try and get out of it. Oh, I'm a bit injured. Nah, I don't think I'll play for England this break. Whereas I think all these players are fighting for a place in that starting 11. And there's some really, really top quality, world-class players in that squad now. And also to pick themselves up after the disappointment of the World Cup and just, they look brilliant, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, they looked brilliant in both first halves.
Yeah.
And they probably should have scored more, but still, that's obviously a glass half empty look at it, because a fantastic international break for England.
So many of those England players, always speculation with regards to where their futures lie when it comes to club football. Jude Bellingham is probably the most speculated player that we've got in the squad. I saw him pitch side with Steven Gerrard, and I was thinking, go on, Steven, make sure he signs the contract, get it in.
Get it in. Pocket, didn't he?
He did, he honestly did. But all of a sudden, though, it looked like Liverpool were favourites. Now we're hearing Man City linked, Real Madrid linked. I mean, he's going to have literally everyone wanting that signature in the summer.
Yeah, he's only 19 years old, though. I think you need to remember that. It was actually Steven Gerrard that said how important it could be to actually bring Jude Bellingham back, because you can go to those big clubs in Europe and actually get swallowed up.
Yeah.
So Real Madrid, for example, he doesn't speak Spanish. So how would that work if he went out there to Real Madrid? So I think maybe he will come back to Liverpool. We saw that photograph of him and Trent Alexander-Arnold at a Chris Brown concert, and suddenly everyone's saying, yeah, he's definitely going to Liverpool. Obviously he's going to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Chris Brown with the Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I think maybe a better move for him to come back to England at such a young age, learn, develop here, and then who knows, go on to a club like Real Madrid in the future.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? You're right. He's only 19. He could come to the Premier League for 5 years and still be in his peak when those 5 years are done. He'll be 24. And then you can go to Spain and win as many Champions Leagues as you like with Real Madrid. All right, let's focus on the Premier League. A couple of really big games. They're all big games at this stage of the season. But the two big ones, I guess, are Saturday lunchtime, Man City versus Liverpool. And then Sunday afternoon, it's sort of, Newcastle versus Manchester United. Must win game for Man City here now. Have to win this.
Yeah, because Arsenal now 8 points clear at the top of the table. Manchester City have played one game fewer as things stand. And could Manchester City be without Erling Haaland as well? Another big blow. Phil Foden has had his appendix out. I think that's 6 weeks or so, the recovery for appendicitis, or having your appendix removed. So two key players Manchester City have lost, which could make a difference at the weekend. They're not playing.
They're not playing indeed. For that race for top four, though, sort of Newcastle versus Manchester United. Look, Man United, I think, are in the top four. Newcastle have had that bit of a wobble. They're kind of stuttering towards the end of the season. Their legs look like they're going a little bit. They need to win. They need to start picking up points, don't they? Big time as well, because Liverpool and Tottenham will chase them down.
Yeah, 3 points in at the moment. 3 points between Manchester United and Newcastle. And I'm sure Newcastle will want revenge as well after that League Cup final defeat to Manchester United. And Manchester United were the better team that day. They deserved to win. And looking at those top 4 spots, it's 1 point, I think, now in it between Newcastle and Tottenham. And obviously we know what's going on at Tottenham. So Newcastle with a really, really good chance now to finish in the top 4, which would be absolutely huge for them. Champions League football next season. Manchester United also could be without Marcus Rashford at the weekend. He is back in training though, so we'll see what happens there. He's their top scorer this season, so that would be a big blow for Manchester United if they don't have him on Sunday.
All right, let's get to Tottenham. Let's just do it, right? I mean, the last time we spoke, Vieira got sacked a couple of days later. And now we saw it coming. We had our Mystic Megballs there. And now Antonio Conte, no surprise after his rant, has been given the P45 by Daniel Levy. Some will say, it should have happened months ago. It's happened now. The Premier League is a beast. It's a behemoth. It's a monster when it comes to sacking managers.
Yeah, I think we did see it coming. The way he totally lost the plot, didn't he, in that press conference? You can't talk like that about a club that you're the manager of, but everything he said was true, was factual, but he did lose control, I think, in that press conference at St. Mary's, didn't he? And I think it's really interesting that Christian Stellini has stayed on, because they've been working together for 20 years. He did step up when Antonio Conte was away recovering from that surgery. But Antonio Conte was very much a part of it. He was still picking the team with Christian Stellini, but now Stellini left on his own. I know that the players really love Stellini. They all said that in post-match interviews when Antonio was away. They said, no, we really get on well with Stellini. We understand him. He's a great manager. And the media like him as well. His press conferences are really, really good. His English is brilliant. So let's see what he can do. If Tottenham do finish in the top 4 this season, then you've got to say it will be largely down to the work of Christian Stellini. Yeah,
you do wonder if he's basically auditioning for the role, right? And I guess that's what he is doing, because the favourites are Nagelsmann and Mauricio Pochettino to return. I find it strange that if a manager like Nagelsmann's available now, you go get him now. Pochettino's available now. If you want him, go get him now. Because, again, managers get sacked every day and they're going to get picked up by other clubs. Do you think they've made a mistake keeping on Stellini as opposed to going for a Nagelsmann or a Pochettino?
I think if they could have got Mauricio Pochettino back in now, you'd think if they wanted him back in now, they'd have got him now. And they wouldn't have Stellini come in. Yeah. Nagelsmann, I think, is different because he's already said that he wants some time. He needs time to think and analyse everything that went on at Bayern. So Nagelsmann, you think, would be a manager for next season. Whereas I think Poch, obviously, he's out of work. He loves the club. He loves the fans. I think it's unlikely he'll come in next season, because if they were going to get him, he'd come in now. Yeah,
indeed. I agree with you. Alex, appreciate coming on as always. Thank you very much. Let's see who's going to get sacked between now and the next time we record. I feel like Brendan Rodgers and David Moyes are on tender hooks. Jurgen Klopp maybe even. No, it can't happen. No chance. Absolutely no chance. Alex, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Eddie.
Cheers. All right, look, so much sporting action on the weekend. Isn't just the boxing, by the way. Some big Premier League games as well. We might even have a clue as to who might be the next Spurs manager. Obviously, Antonio Conte sacked by Spurs a couple of days ago. Who best to help us go through all of this than the main man, Lee Phelps, who joins us for In the Blue Corner. Lee, let's get straight to it. Big fight on the weekend. AJ versus Franklin. A lot of people say AJ's a big favourite. What are the bookies saying?
Yeah, absolutely the same. 1 to 12. 12 to 1 on to win this one. Jermaine Franklin 6 to 1. It's pretty, it's not as wide as you get, but he's a big favourite, and a big favourite to stop Franklin as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that, right? When it's sort of a favourite like that, when it is that wide, a sort of punter's looking at rounds in terms of making the money. Like, what round AJ is going to stop him? And if so, what's the favourite round?
Yeah, well, he's 4 to 1 on just to stop Franklin as well. So, it's a very short price, given, obviously Joshua's record, pre Usyk and Ruiz, I guess. The round, William Hill's top price guarantee on round betting, which means obviously, you may as well bet with William Hill, because you're not going to get a bigger price anywhere else. Now, the favourites, you're looking at around 17 to 2 for round 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Interesting, because when you look at Joshua's record pre-Ruiz and including Pulev, then quite a lot of his stoppages in his latter half of his career have come in the second half of his fights. Look at Pulev, that was round 9 in the end. He dropped him twice in round 3, but was really cautious and more measured against Pulev. I watched that fight again, by the way, and He got criticised at the time. Joshua gets criticised unfairly, in my opinion. I watched that fight again against Pulev, which, if you remember, was the fight after the Ruiz one when he went back and won and was really careful. And it was like a punch perfect masterclass. And I wonder if he'll do the same sort of thing here, where, you know, Jermaine Franklin, again, not getting much credit from the fans out there, but, you know, proved against Dillian White that he can go the distance and he's tough. And I wonder if Joshua will just take his time, but maybe get to in the second half of the fight. You can back the second half of the fight for a Joshua stoppage as well, and that's 6-4. So it's obviously a better price than you 1-4 for him just to stop Franklin. Full stop.
Yeah, it sounds like good odds though, and I'm going with sort of what the bookies are saying as well. I'm going second half of the fight for AJ to get rid of Jermaine Franklin. I think that's where the money is. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk football. The Premier League is back. Thank God. Not a massive fan of international football. The big game as well, City versus Liverpool at the Etihad. And you feel like if City don't win this one, then that's it really. You can probably go and hand that title to Arsenal. What are the odds on this one? Liverpool, decent record at the Etihad. Not the worst, but surely City at home with Haaland firing have to win this.
Yeah, very short price again, 4-7. But like Liverpool, 9-2. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to go there and win, but look what they did against Manchester United. And I know this is at Manchester City, but look, you know, I think 92 is a big price for a Liverpool team who, on their day, everyone would have to admit, could give Man City a game. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but 92 is a fairly big price as well. So, you know, but Man City, I think the pressure's on them. You know, they play first, don't they, in 12:30 kickoff. So, you know, they're 8 points behind Arsenal. They need to get a win to put that pressure back on the Gunners who've got leads. So I think the pressure's all on City here. And yeah, that 9-2 I think is tempting. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day City win it. But you know, it's an interesting one, I think. Liverpool at City at 9-2.
All right, that's the big one, right? That's Man City versus Liverpool. Massive game. The race for top four though is crazy as well. And I guess look, Liverpool have to win at the Etihad to still stay in that race. Man United take on Newcastle at Old Trafford. Two teams that are firmly in that race for top four. I think United are there or thereabouts already. Newcastle, draw specialist. What are the odds on Newcastle getting anything from United at Old Trafford?
7-5 the price for Newcastle to win at home. The draw's 12-5, and Manchester United are 15-8 as we record this. The traders like Newcastle. You know, Newcastle are the favourites out of them, Liverpool and Tottenham, to finish in that top four spot. Even though Tottenham are there at the moment, and obviously they've let the manager go, and we'll come on to talk about that in a second. But Newcastle have a lot of like goodwill maybe with bookmakers. I don't think it's because they don't give much away. You know, we know they don't concede many goals. Great defensively, they don't score many goals either. And I think the draw could be the one here. I hate to put up the draw because it seems like a bit of a boring kind of, you know, like sitting on the fence. But at 12-5, I think it's a decent bet. You know, I think Man United would come away from Newcastle thinking a draw is a decent result. Newcastle would be fairly happy with that. They've got 2 games in hand on Tottenham. I think that's why they're the favourites of those 3 to get that Champions League spot. It'd be amazing if they did it, and I think it'd be a big step forward if they won this. But I'll pick the draw. You can see a 1-1 here.
100%. I think both managers would shake on the draw right now. I think both of them would take the point and move on. And I think Rashford could be a big difference. If he's back from his little injury and he's starting, then he's scoring. We know the record right now, so that's interesting. All right, final one, Lee. Next manager odds was Spurs. Obviously, Antonio Conte, no surprise, sacked finally by Daniel Levy. Mauricio Pochettino rumoured to want to come back. Nagelsmann, who's just left Bayern Munich, in the running as well. Who's the favourite to get the Spurs job?
Yeah, that man, Nagelsmann. I mean, amazing story, really, isn't it? I mean, what do you have to do at Bayern to keep a job? I mean, obviously, second in the table. They've got like a match against City in the Champions League, and they change manager. It's perfect for any big club, isn't it, to say, right, we'll go and get him. Because you look at his win percentage, it's right up there with the best managers Bayern have ever had. 2-1 favourite he is to be the manager on the first day of next season. This is so first EPL game next season. Obviously, they've got the caretaker in place at the moment. Pochettino, you mentioned 7-2. One of the best managers Spurs have had. You look at what he did with them. You know, Champions League final, runner-up in the Premier League as well. Should he go back? Would he go back? An interesting one. Luis Enrique's 8-1. Luis Enrique, Champions League winner. The manager, of course, managed Spain. You've got Olivier Glasner, who's an Austrian coach, who's 9-1. Then you get to the bigger prices from there. But yeah, I mean, look, I think I think if the favourite wants the job, all the journalists are saying that he's being talked to and the fans like him. And I think Daniel Levy needs to keep the fans on his side to a certain extent. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if first game of the Premier League season next season, it's Nagelsmann who's in charge of Tottenham Hotspur.
It's not bad options, is it, for Spurs fans? Nagelsmann, Mauricio Pochettino coming back. I feel like they win either way. Lee, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very, very much. All right, stick with us, because when we come back, we're going to do what you fans have all been waiting for. I'm going to answer some of your questions. All right, time for some questions. You guys have sent your questions in. Remember, get your questions in. You can either tweet me, Ade_Oladipo1, hashtag at the Ade Show, or at DAZN Boxing, hashtag at the Ade Show, and I'll try and read out as many as humanly possible. Let's start with this one. James from Middlesex. What's the bigger fight in your opinion? Canelo versus Bivol, Canelo versus Beterbiev, or Canelo versus Benavidez? All big fights. Okay, what are we talking? Are we talking legacy or are we talking money? If we're talking legacy, for me, it's the Bivol fight. I think it's a get-back fight. You lost at 175. Can you win again at 175? Do you have to get him down to 168? That as a legacy fight is the biggest one, I personally think. Money, bums on seats, Benavidez. An all Mexican showdown. That one's incredible. But look, Canelo has so many good options. Hussein says, now the undisputed fight has fallen through. Who should Oleksandr Usyk fight next? I would love to see Deontay Wilder. Who wouldn't? At any time, like Usyk could be winning that fight until the last 10 seconds, and we know Deontay Wilder's got that forehammer. Anything could change. So look, I mean, there's some good fights out there. there's Deontay Wilder, there's Joe Joyce, Hrgovic, Frank Sanchez, Andy Ruiz. But of all of those, I'd say Deontay Wilder. Justin from Manchester says, Wayne Rooney or Harry Kane? Wazza. And I feel bad every time I say that because it feels like I'm disrespecting Harry Kane. I'm not. I'm just of an era where I remember Wayne Rooney when he was 16. I remember him when he was basically still in school and scored that goal against Arsenal. I remember it like it was yesterday. He's a genius, fantastic footballer. So I'm going to say Wayne Rooney for now. Ask me in 5 years' time, it could be Harry Kane. All right, a couple more. Paul from Watford says, would you like to see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury if AJ beats Franklin? It depends how he beats Franklin. If AJ labours to a points win, then maybe not. Maybe you have one more, and that one more would be a Hrgovic or Otto Volin or someone like that. If AJ runs through Jermaine Franklin like a hot knife through butter, then why not? Why not? Maybe I'll ask him the question on Saturday night. Make sure you tune in live on DAZN. What else we got here? Sam says, do you think Joshua, good question, this one. Do you think Joshua Buatsi will become a world champion? Right now, no. And that's not because I don't think Buatsi's capable. I just think he's not as good as Bivol or Beterbiev, who are the world champions. In a couple of years' time, when Beterbiev gets to 40 and maybe retires and Bivol maybe goes and does something else, then maybe the belt scatter, he's good enough to pick up a world title. But is he beating those two guys right now? No. All right, Rex from Winchester, final question, says, what next for AJ if he loses? Rex? We're not even thinking about that. We're not even thinking about that, Rex. Hopefully he gets the job done. But look, he said himself the other day, if he loses, he retires. That's what's at stake. And that's why you all should tune in this Saturday, live on DAZN. AJ versus Franklin. I will be there. The whole team will be there. It's going to be a good day. And let's not forget, Ak and Barak have flown over from America to be here. That's when you know it's going to be a really good fight. But thank you so much to everyone that came on, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.